was very much of a narcissist. She was all revolved around her. And so even when I confronted her about why my brother didn't want to see her anymore, I didn't have any right and wasn't about to tell why he wouldn't see her. But that was when I confront her on the beach, and I'm in my 40s, and our, Hap is nearby. We're standing in the water waiting to go swimming. And I said, I can't. So Danny is named in the book. He's the one that has his own name. I said, I can't tell you why Danny won't see you, Mom, but I can tell you that you molested me year after year after year. And why can't we talk about that? And that is when she then immediately went into, well, you have no idea what happened to me. You have no idea what my father did to me. And then she went in great detail of that. And it was another one of those situations where it was about her, which I'm sure she'd had it locked away. Now we know so much about abuse, locked away for years. But then I thought finally the truth would come out. And that night when my father showed up, he said, she's been talking about it all afternoon. I knew about it, but I didn't know the details about it. And she was really telling the details. So then I thought my father would care. And I said, can we finally talk about this? And he was all about, your mother has been through so much. Carla has been through so much. I wanted to scream. I think I did. What about us? What about your kids? And I said that. What about us? You didn't protect us. And he said, I left it up to her to raise the kid, that it was up to her. I was earning the living. I was keeping you fed and clothed, and I left all the child raising up to her. And I thought, wow, where are we going to go with that?
Well, when you're dealing with mentally ill people, you're trying to make sense of things. Yeah. It's hard to you can't really make sense of. Yeah. Because it does seem like you guys were a tribe. And also like the tribe mentality, right? The tribe mentality is huge in a family. When you first start speaking your truth, I'm one of 10. So I'm number 9 of 10, so we kind of have that in common.
Yeah.
And when you start speaking your truth and being honest and authentic, which let's face it, most of us aren't in our families, it's terrifying. You are. It's like shaking and sputtering and your voice gets all shrill and you get all nervous, and it's just so crazy how hard it is to be honest and authentic. In a normal family that hasn't had so much trauma, but in a family on top of that with trauma.
I think we kind of lived a myth of being the perfect family, and the myth of, and there were wonderful things. I'm not trying to discredit. I mean, they had wonderful values for justice. We learned to all care about other people and fight for justice and speak up, and wonderful values. But I think the myth of what a great family we were, and also the code, that was why I didn't tell for so long anybody else's, because the family code was we were loyal to our family. And I think the worst thing I felt would have happened to me would have been to be ostracized and not have this family. And so that keeps that family code in place. It takes a long time. I want to say she was very mentally ill, and I think so was my father. And I'm sure there's other mothers out there. It's just a topic we don't talk about mother incest or even mother abuse. And that for me means that mothers who are going through it feel they can't go and get the help they need. And certainly the children who are being abused, can't either, because who do you turn to when you're growing up? It's your mother who's supposed to be your greatest protector and not your greatest danger. So that's why when you came to me and you said, I want to do something that starts to promote your book, I could not be more grateful, because I feel like my purpose with this book was not only to heal myself, of course it has, but if there's anybody that it can help and that it can be a catalyst for them to speak their truth. And that's actually already been happening. I'm just since this publicity went out the last couple of weeks, I'm getting person after person writing to the website saying, I've never shared this story with anyone. I got one 2 days ago, a woman in her 70s. I've never shared this with anyone. And she's somebody I know from 40 years ago. And I've had your book, and I read your book, and I hide your book in the house so I don't have to look at it. And I that's like about the third person who's told me they have to hide a book. But she said, this is what happened, and she tells the story. And he said, now I would like to finally, he said, I realized I was brave. It was her father. I stood up to him. I said, no, I was 17. I was not 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But still, I've never told about this to anyone. So if it can be a catalyst, then I won't. That's why I want to